Hello, welcome back to Age of Water, and as you can see I spent a lot of time creating this monster. If you saw my other video, you will notice that this thing is a lot more armored up and it has a lot of useful things on it, but some of them are not so useful. So, is it really worth going to tier 5? To be honest, no. Like I said in my tips and tricks video, you should only go up to tier 3 and the rest of the stuff will be a little better. You just have to, find it more and more. The cannons are tier 5, so let's start with the cannons. What is the damage of a tier 5 cannon? Well, it can go from 1.9, which is kind of like the upper limit for a tier 4 cannon, so your best tier 4 cannon is as good as the worst tier 5. Of course, there are some other considerations. You can compare the nodes. Remember that this will also use more power per shot, but also is super heavy, 8.2, and this is 7.9. Well, I guess it's similar. Some of them will be a lot heavier. And then look at these things over here. 3000. I think 3000 is the max. Oh, 3.1. 3.1 is the max I got. As for the weight is 6 tons. Now, if you compare all of this, and you'll notice a very weird thing. Some of these things will be very heavy, so you can basically reduce the weight of your cannons by about 30 tons, which will be amazing if you just have the better versions of each one of them. Also, HP is another very variable thing. It's 4.2, 1.8, so there are a lot of things you should probably look at, and I don't think it's worth crafting multiples of these. So in a way, it's just better to remain at tier 4 for your weapons, and also probably above the other weapons. The tug wheelhouse, as you can see, it costs a lot of iron scrap. I don't think I'll get to another one because the repair costs are very good, but they're still very high. And this is a tier 4 structure. This is what I added lately, and they have a lot of health. 8,000 health almost, but they're also super heavy, so all of these structures are about 30 tons. But it looks so cool. Come on, look at this. It really looks like an armored boat, and it's also super fast because I super injected it with power, pure power. Plus the engine room kind of looks nice, except for the cannon that is firing from, near the engines. But don't worry about it, it's okay. But already, as you can see, tier 3 is a little bit too expensive already. Tier 4 is mega expensive with the plate cost, and you also need to have the plates on your boat, which is the problem. I think at some point, maybe they'll implement crafting the iron plates on your boat with a structure or something, I don't know. It depends if they want to go city building on the boats, or they just want to go with more superstructures. The tier 3 metal shields, as you can see, they're very cheap to repair, and they're also very strong. And the scavenger shields, well, they're basically free to repair, but they don't have a lot of HP, but at the same time the weight is still manageable. Imagine if I have tier 5 shields everywhere. The tier 5 shields can be 1.5 or let's say 3 tons, which is a lot compared to this one. So I mean, they're going to be 3 times or even in some cases 5 times heavier. But also they will repair with iron, with plastic plate. So that's why I don't think it's very feasible to just have heavy shields on all over your ship. I mean, this is the maximum. This is 400 tons worth of equipment. I have the skill, the Helmman skill, which will increase that by 15%, I think. Let me look over here, 15%, yeah. But even so, it's just too much and too heavy. So that's why most of the boats will not even really reach this. And this is why a lot of people are still playing with the anchovies, even though they have their Burdocks. So weight management applies to all categories of all ships, so that's why, as you can see, I prefer to have the bigger, lighter shields in the back, or half of the ship is big, light shields. The front will be super armored up with the most expensive and most protective shields. And of course in the front I have something that will protect against almost all damage for a lot of HP, 12,000. I guess I can improve this a little bit, but I also needed to put something on top of it. Otherwise the shots would go over the thing and go to the... How do I mean by that? Well, see, your boat will tend to move around a lot, and that's when... Look at that. My boat was fully exposed on that side at that moment. So yeah, I need something to catch the shots. The plastic bases occupy a lot of space, but they're very easy to repair. Also, they are tier 2. Tier 3. This one is very good for tier 3, but they also occupy a lot of space. The pillar fishing boat wheelhouse. As you can see, this is a weird one because I didn't think this would work, but it works very nicely. It covers the ship pretty well, and it actually looks a little bit like armor. I'm not sure how efficient it will be in combat, but I think it will be okay. It's also tier 2, so as you can see, one of those things that is basically free to repair. The amount of HP it can get is pretty impressive in my opinion, 1.4. The weight can be a little bit above 1 ton, but still very good. So let me look at the other plastic shields I had, but they'll be bigger. So you can change a lot of things in the menu so you don't open the inventory every time you enter the base. Doesn't open it here either. So these things are more or less the same, but they occupy a lot more space. They're also a little bit taller. What I like to do is just like this, see? It's still free space, but it's much longer. Well, a little bit longer. So this is only for 3 tiles, and I like to do it like this because it will kind of perfectly match. So at some point in the game when they add bigger bows that have more capacity, I'll probably put more things, more armored up things, and this is how I kind of like my bow to look like, because those things were kind of big and they were kind of getting in my way. I can show you how they look. But for this to work, I would have to remove the halibut conning towers. As you can see, well, this game has some hidden stats. For example, sometimes even if you have 3 slots available, the structure will occupy the surrounding space as well. This just means you cannot install it if it's kind of wider. I don't know. It's harder to explain, but you get the idea. So some things will be wider, even though they occupy only 3 spaces. They need free space around them. I don't know what's that doing in my inventory, but we'll put it back where it belongs. But you cannot rotate it, so it will remain like that. Now, what other stuff you can put besides armor, super structures, and weapons? Well, power management. Let's talk a bit about power management. Sadly, power management is very, very good at the basic level, no matter how you put it. Because this will generate, let's say, about 7 power. And this is the tier 3. The tier 2 will generate about 10. Look at the weight and the HP of each one. And this one will generate 24 something. My goal is to get them as close as possible to 30. And that's everything I'll need. Because this thing over here, look at the weight and the HP and the values. This thing over here is massive. And it also repairs with chemical and plates. And also explosives. So if this thing gets damaged, it will be super hard to repair. Also too heavy, too big, and I don't really need it. And I think I was pretty unlucky when I made this because it's only 44, but look at how big it is. It's 5.5. As you can see, going to tier 5 is not always going to be a good idea because you would need more space, and you can just replace this with something else and it will be just as good. Now, I think I reached the limit of items, so that's why that might be a big block. So they added the ship battery, the energy reserve shown over here. I guess the ship starts with 288. Okay, that's kind of cool. As for the batteries, as you can see, I have, let's say, 3 medium ones and 4 tier 2 ones. They're kind of like normal ones. And that's enough. And that's the biggest problem. Also, the mid-range pump is enough because it's smaller than the other pumps. So the pumps are really another problem because they're much bigger, so don't get a bigger pump. And probably the best thing to stop is that the Devil Steam Generator, and that will be enough. Also, let's speak about the air intakes versus the funnels. From my testing, I found out that only one warship intake, well, let's say one air intake and one funnel help your speed. Because if you just put more funnels or more air intakes, they'll not work. How many should you put? Well, you should put as many as you need to reach max speed, which in my case is 110. There is no point to putting more of these because I can already reach 110. And keep in mind that they also consume power. So this is 30 power, this is 20 power. So you see the problem with these things. So I guess it's better that they are the highest tier available to you, but at the same time, don't get a tier 5 funnel because it's much bigger and you might not even need it. And this thing is faster than a Vigilant. A Vigilant would have to put a lot of speed things on it, but this is also pretty stable. So yeah, no thank you, I don't want any more power than this. So if you reach enough speed, don't bother putting more. The only thing that is really worth putting on your boat that is tier 5 is the engine. Look at this beautiful thing, 3 engines in one. And it's also very cheap to repair. I think the developers will tune this a little bit, but it also only gives you 5 more speed as to the tier 4 one, but it's more than enough. So yeah, as you can see, you will have no problems maintaining your ship at this tier, and I'll have to change this. I'll have to change this because this is not a working ship. This is a parade ship. It's made for combat, but currently we don't really have anything to fight for, and we will need a lot of resources. So I'll have to remove the halibut conning tower, sadly. I'll have to remove some of the pillar fishing boat whalehouses, maybe. I'll have to think about it. And I also have to craft more of these. More Caspian small trawler base until I get a lower weight and more HP. I can craft some more Ares boat cabin as well, because I can get more HP and less weight as well. Maybe a few of these as well. The fan motors will be the same. Everything will be the same. I'll have to remove this stupid radio isotope generator and replace it with a few more devil steam generator and maybe a few diesel ones as well. And I don't know. It's like I just have to remove more and more from the boat to make it more viable, because your weight should be about 300 tons. And that's kind of like the limit, because you'll have to farm a lot. And if you're farming Armada, you need at least 100 ton space. Also, recently in the updates, they had another thing. They added different sizes dredges, or different tiers of dredges. I have a tier 2, the first tier 1 is not so good. And they improve your radius at which you can pick up the loot and also the speed. So this one is 11 seconds in a radius of 27, but as you can see it's 500 kilograms, plus it has 3.6 HP. So I think the developers will add more stuff on the boat that will actually, you know, serve the boat some meaning, will do something for the boat. But this just means even less weight available to my ship, because I'll have to make the tier 5 dredge. And it's being built right now. But here in the instruments, I don't know why this is so purple. It is what it is. As you can see, this looks very menacing and cool. I wish it was a little more technologically advanced, because this one looks much more aggressive. But I guess this one is, I don't know, it's more or less the same one as the first tier. Except it has a little bit more aggression. Anyway, the point was that this one is 9 tons and it has a radius of 40 with 8 seconds for every dredge. It also has a lot of HP, so that will help a lot. I'm not sure with what it's repaired, but it's also, again, it's 9 tons. So the more you play the game and the more you build, the more space and the more weight capacity you need on your ship. So I don't know what developers will do for this, but I think at some point they'll just introduce items that increase your weight capacity or something else. And this is why everyone is going up to level 31, because once they update the game, they'll probably add 5 or 6 or 7 more skills, and one of them will probably be the cargo capacity. And I think a lot of people will pick the cargo capacity for this reason alone. To use the higher tier stuff, you need a lot of weight capacity. I guess I could put some things away, but I'm not putting this away, even though it's kind of cool. And I think they also put more weight on this. From what I can see, it's only 1 weight as opposed to being 5 tons, or how much it will be in the future, I don't know. Or I guess we'll just have to insist more on plastic stuff, so we have to repair with plastic and wood and a little bit of metal. I don't know, I guess it depends on how the game evolves, but definitely try to keep your boat at tier 3 so the repairs are very cheap and very good. As for the shields and the armor, well, I would explain everything, and I think you can apply this at any tier of your boat. Just remember to get a very good dredge right now. And that's about it. Now, I think I'll only make more videos when I have more things to talk about. And I'll have to change the Lucky Kitty ship again. I think I spent about 10 hours building the ship and getting the stuff I needed, and also upgrading some of the stuff. But to be honest, it was worth it. As you can see, I no longer need the secondary ship to dredge, so that's another thing you need to know. The better your ship, the less you have to change it. So I think, yeah, goodbye dredging ship. This will be my all-purpose boat from now on. It's fast, it has everything it needs, it has good power capacity, generation, everything. That's the Lucky Kitty. And sadly I'll have to make my boat look something like this, except I'll keep the front of the ship as it is with the Lucky Kitty and the tower, and I'll just change some things around. Plus, let me show you, the funnel is also pretty expensive to repair, because it needs reagents, and that's going to be super annoying. Oh man, it already hurts knowing I'll have to spend reagents to repair it. And this is just a lot of plate, which is not so bad, but the reagents, oh, it hurts me. Anyway, see you next time, bye bye.